Hello and welcome to our show, Tea Talk, Real Talk, Conversations Over Tea, where we bring guests on our show to talk about issues and topics that matter. And today I have a great person that I met, last year in JIT. I was a judge and he was one of the winners and I just loved his company. So Jason, please, tell us your last name because I don't want to mess it up, and what your company is and just all the fabulous things that's been going on with you on the journey.
Yeah, awesome. Name is Jason Vitug. I'm the founder and CEO of Phroogal. Yeah. Spelled a little bit differently. Yeah. It's I always say it's Phroogal.
Yes.
And so I've been traveling around for some time and just replanted my roots here in Jersey. So I'm excited to be part of the state I grew up in.
Yes.
Definitely a good time. What tea is this?
This is a red tea, rooibos. It's a cool ginger bounce.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so naturally no caffeine. So if you're looking for caffeine this morning.
No, this is good. I love tea. I drink tea all the time.
Yeah.
It definitely calms me and gets me centered and
doesn't
focused.
That's what I say to people. First thing in the morning you get up, have a cup of tea, because the first thing, it connects you to nature, and I say nature is God, and then after that it connects to your soul. You have to sit looking at yourself deep inside and say, why am I here? And then once you find that, you go out into the world, and now tea, it's now connecting you to people. So I think it's just a wonderful cycle to start with tea. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when I had the opportunity to backpack around the world, I had the opportunity to taste different types of teas.
I can imagine. That must have been fantastic.
It was. So you're looking at like my journey of I'm a first-time entrepreneur. So this is my journey of growing up here. I grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then I attended Rutgers, and I got this wonderful opportunity to work in corporate America, and I worked in banking, specifically a credit union out in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
So I moved out to Palo Alto, and just meeting the type of people that were working in technology, and that was just so exciting. And but that was also my first take in being an executive. Okay. I was VP of Marketing and Business Development over at the credit union. They took a chance on me, and I remember my CEO saying, "You had so much passion. We didn't know what you were capable of."
Right. But that's what it's all about. If people can see that passion in you, that says a lot.
Yeah,
that says so much.
Yeah, I really think that really resonates with a lot of folks who are trying to figure out, okay, I don't know you, but you exude this passion, this energy, and I just get drawn in. And, and so I always remember, and I tell others who are trying to figure out, like, do I go the corporate route or do I do the entrepreneurial route? Like, how do I know? I'm like, follow that passion and that purpose. And so I did do that, and I did corporate America. I did this executive thing for 3.5 years, and that was an interesting time. I traveled a lot, and I was rarely. So I moved from Jersey to California, and I was never in California.
Oh my God, traveling around from place to place.
Traveling around different places. I was in Texas, I was in North Carolina, every place that you could think of. I was traveling. But that exposed me to people, and all walks of life, different places, and so that was kind of like the burgeoning of my idea for my startup. But at that age, at that point, I really didn't even know what that was. But after 3.5 years of working, I want to say like 70, 80 hours a week.
Oh my God! Wow, for someone else.
Yeah, for someone else. But I think the hard part for a lot of us is this idea of I really loved what I was doing. I mean, I enjoyed it. Right. And so, but then I felt something was missing, and I couldn't understand.
Right. What is it?
Yeah. What was missing? And I was like, what is wrong with me? I've reached this epitome. They tell us that there's a plan. There's a plan in place. Graduate high school, go to college, get your first job, get promoted, and buy a house. Right. So I was doing all these steps, and I'm like, when do I actually become happy?
Wow.
Yeah. And so I think that there was that pivotal moment after working endless hours and enjoying it. I was just, there's that gut, and we talked about this, like that inner spirit saying something's missing. What is it? And that's when I realized it's like, I need to take a step back. I need to figure out, get away from the hustle and bustle of things.
And it is, especially when you're traveling, because I worked with IBM for 8 years, and not the whole 8 years, but I'd say the last 2 or 3 years, I traveled a lot to different companies, to different states. I didn't really do anything international, but I was from different states. And so, like you said, it's good. I always like going around to different places because you meet new people, you learn different things, you know, and so that also opens up your mind, I think. So I understand what you're going through, or what you went through at that time, you know.
Well, yeah, and then so then I did more traveling afterwards. So when I decided to leave my corporate job, so this was back in 2011, mid-2011, I decided, I'm going to leave. I think I'm done. Right. And that's just a really...
Everybody must have been shocked.
Everyone was. And my executive team, as well as my board of directors, I mean, they were very supportive.
Right.
And they kept giving me incentives to stay.
Right.
So you're looking at, I formally resigned in July of 2011.
Right.
I actually didn't leave until December.
Wow.
So it wasn't me going, it's like, okay, I take it back. It was, well, sit on it for 30 days, think about this offer, think about, and so I was really in that situation. It's like, so what am I going to do? What's the next step in my life? And is this really my purpose? And I knew something was calling out, and I didn't know what that was whatsoever. But eventually made the plunge and decided I was going to take a 3 to 6 month sabbatical, sit on an island, and do absolutely nothing.
That's like phenomenal. I'm so jealous. That's so phenomenal. You know, to do something like that.
Yeah.
And brave.
Now when I look back, I was so scared, but around everyone thought, oh, this was awesome. I mean, I did have friends and family who thought I was crazy for leaving.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah, for leaving a very financial stable job, and I was rising within the organization. It's like that's crazy that you're taking this step back, and I just knew something was missing.
Right.
And I needed to. I'm that big believer that if you take a step back, we get to see the whole picture, and then we can take a different path.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know that back then. So hindsight is powerful, right? It's 2020.
It is.
And but anyway, my 3 to 6 month vacation or staycation on an island ended up not me sitting down on an island.
Right.
I actually ended up backpacking through 20 countries in 12 months.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so phenomenal. I mean, that must have really opened up your whole mind and just, wow.
It did. And
20 different countries.
20 different countries. Wow. And it was actually it was fortunate. I was leaving my apartment in Palo Alto, and my neighbor stepped out and she said, where are you going? Why are all these things being moved? And I said, I'm leaving. She goes, I didn't know. I told her my plans, and she said, if I were you, I would see some other countries. It's who has this opportunity to be able to do exactly what I was doing. And so I took that, and I was like, that's actually really a great idea. But I didn't think of it as I'm going to go see 20 countries.
Right, of course.
But then my marketing mind, since I am in marketing, I was like, 20 countries in 12 months sounds like a really great, great marketing thing.
Wow.
And but when I did actually flew out my first leg of my trip, so I flew from here outside of Newark to Manila, Philippines. Long flight. You're talking about 20 hours. Wow. So a lot of thinking, right?
That's a whole lot of thinking up there.
But there's a lot of excitement. So there's a lot of excitement. But then
the unknown.
The unknown. I think that's what it is. I think when we get stuck in the day-to-day, we forget that we learn from things that challenge us. Of
course.
And so for me, I was excited, but then when I landed in Manila in the Philippines, it was beautiful, but then I started seeing poverty and extreme poverty. And I remember I was flying from one island, from Manila to another island within the course of a week. And I realized that what was wrong with me? I was like, here I am. I left a 6-figure job, stability, and so I was on the plane and I was holding on to the seat, and I recall I was asking God. I was like, God, did I make the right decision? And it was all these doubts. And today it's like people ask, well, you were so confident, you left your stable job to go into this world of entrepreneurism where nothing is
it's all unknown.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's what you make it.
Yeah,
it's really what you make it.
So that, and then I go back to that story, and I'm like, no, a week into it, I was having a panic attack on the plane.
Second thoughts, like, oh my God, yeah. Can they take me back? Would they take me back?
That's exactly what. It's like, will they take me back? And I'm like, I think they will if they were offering me this, and maybe if I just take 30 days and I can come back. I was really going through this panic crisis, and then eventually I was out and I was taking pictures, being a tourist. And I was taking one of these beautiful pictures of this old house, like this 14th century home. And all of a sudden I see hundreds of people running and screaming.
Wow.
And I always say I'm from Jersey, so I thought it's a riot.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna step to the side. So I step to the side and people are screaming and the cars and motorcycles are honking and I have no clue what's going on.
Right. So you weren't running with the people too?
I wasn't, because I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to be trampled by a herd. So I really went into this little alleyway and stared until someone stopped and said, tidal wave, run.
Oh my God.
So when that moment struck, I went onto survival mode and I started running. I had my camera, so I was capturing this all on video. And I kept looking back and I was wondering, is that tidal wave behind those hundreds, if not thousands of people that are running towards me? And I was just really scared.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and I am safe.
Right.
And there was no tsunami. There's no tidal wave. There was an earthquake that happened in a neighboring island, and there was swelling.
Right.
But there was just so much mayhem and chaos
Oh my God.
that occurred. And eventually, my stardom was like, my YouTube video went viral in the Philippines and national TV. My face was splattered. American caught in tsunami.
Oh my God.
You can you can imagine. And then so from that point on, I was into my hotel room and I said to myself, I asked for an adventure for the unknown.
And you sure got it.
And I did get it. Yeah. Ask and you shall receive.
You know what? But that's true. If you don't ask, you don't get. But you have to always ask for positive things, though, right? If we ask for something negative, we're going to get negative. So I think it's all about being positive.
Yeah, I think that's one of the lessons that I learned backpacking. And I've always been the very positive and upbeat and type. And when I learned speaking with people from different walks of life, different countries, different cultures, is that they may not have much, but they still look at the positive aspects of life.
Right.
They're not searching for, they're actually living happiness.
Right.
They might be searching for income and for food.
Of course.
But when you talk to them and you speak with them, they exude this energy and this happiness, and they're so giving. It's truly amazing.
Much more giving than people that might have money.
It really is. And I mean, even through my travel, so I traveled through Southeast Asia and Central America and Western Europe. It was just, there was that common bond. It didn't matter how much money they had. It was just that they really had this zest for life.
Wow.
And then I looked at it as in here in the US, we have so many opportunities.
I know.
How can we use it to better our situation? And so with that and the conversations I had with people, that kind of started watering this seed of how can I come back? Because the reality is, right, I can't, well, I guess some people can travel for the rest of their lives, but the reality is I would come back home and plant some roots and figure out how to make a living.
Right.
What's
your purpose? What's your purpose?
My purpose, yeah. And I really talk a lot about that we mentioned about passion, and it's important for us to follow our passion. I really think when it comes to purpose, if we find our purpose, we'll discover there's so many ways that our passion can feed into that purpose.
Right.
And so for me, working in banking and in the credit union industry and then traveling, there are things I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about personal finance. I'm passionate about travel and passionate about speaking in front of groups of people. And I didn't know how to merge the three or more. And that time away, and for many, I mean, 12 months not working. That's
a wonderful time. If everyone, I think, and when you said that to me, I said every individual, I think, needs to experience that, because that will change their lives drastically.
I completely agree.
I really think so.
It's
that's
that,
a wonderful opportunity.
It's the environment. I think if we stay within the environment that we're in, we'll never get the opportunity to see or experience anything else. Right. And for me, I mean, the landscapes, the architecture was amazing, but the conversations that I've had with the people was just awesome. Yes. And the moment that I realized what I wanted to do when I got back was on my 6th country.
Wow.
So I was in Myanmar.
Oh my gosh.
I've never even heard of this country, and that is just really bad for me. But since then, I've been talking about Myanmar, which is formerly Burma, right next to Thailand. Okay. Never heard of it until I met some backpackers who said, "Oh, come with us." Wow. It's just opened up. And Americans are able to go into the country now. And so I was like, this is awesome. Wow. And I got in there and we were only allowed for 20 days. And I spent that whole entire 20 days there. And I was sitting on top of this 8th century temple. Wow. And just staring at 4,000 temples jutting out of the jungle landscape. Wow. Temples, pagodas, stupas, it was beautiful.
Have you put a book together with pictures? I'm sure you must have taken lots of pictures.
I took around 5,000 pictures.
You need a book.
Yeah.
You need to put a book out with just like the pictures and parts of the story.
Yeah, I definitely need to do that. It's in one of my
things to do.
My things to do. I actually wrote 200 pages while I was traveling.
Yes.
And it was just me like taking notes of experiences and conversations.
Right.
But that image of me sitting on top of this temple and staring at it just seared into my mind. And that was the moment I said to myself, I'm living my dream. How can I help others live theirs? And for me, it was that Indiana Jones and I once wanted to be an archaeologist, and so it was just I was living this childhood dream that I forgot. I totally forgot that I even had this dream of being an archaeologist, and it just reinvigorated. And I said, wow, I'm having this opportunity. Where was everyone else? And I knew that for many it is money, it is personal finance that prevents us, and it causes a great deal of stress. Then as I start talking and traveling in these other countries, people will tell me, wow, you're American, you're so lucky. And I said, well, what makes us lucky? And one, it was opportunity. Right. They said, you have a lot of opportunities here that we don't have. Right. You have educational system and things like that. And so for me, I was like, okay, well, I knew the reality back home, here in the States, because I was doing financial education in different Fortune 500 companies, and I knew people, whether they were making $35,000 a year or $500,000 a year, people were struggling with their money finances.
Right. Of course.
And so it's like, well, what really is the disconnect? What's happening? And so with that conversation and the epiphany, when I got back home in 2013, I was like, I know my purpose. I want to increase accessibility to financial information. Right. I really think what separates us from those who can benefit from financial advice or information are those who can afford accountants, lawyers, financial advisors, all the best people. And that was the difference, because I saw that the folks that were making $250,000 a year, if they weren't spending money on experts and they didn't know anything about money, they were worse off than someone who's making $50,000 a year.
No, it's true.
And
because it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. We already know that.
Yes.
So that's really crucial.
Yeah, and I think we're so tied here to that the more we make, the happier we get.
Not at all. That's so far from the truth.
It is really far from the truth, and so there's a lot of opportunities, and so with that grew Phroogal, and my idea is to harness the collective knowledge of many to help you make better financial decisions. Right. And because we all know a little bit something about money, and we might share it, we might not talk about it as openly as we should. Right. But we do. We learn our habits through our family, through our coworkers, through our friends, through our social circles. Right. And I'm looking at harnessing that information to help people make better decisions. Right. And the ultimate goal isn't just for you to have $1 million in a savings account, as I want you to be able to live your dream lifestyle.
And be happy.
And be happy. Yeah. Yeah, that's
happiness.
That truly is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's that state of contentment.
It is.
And
to be content and happy.
And being happy.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's jumping into this entrepreneurial world and not knowing that if there's a paycheck coming or if there's how is the next day gonna appear like. It's been interesting.
Yes.
Yes. A roller coaster, a very big roller coaster ride.
Yes.
And from the outside, it looks like everything is all polished and shiny, and they don't know the road that you took to get there. Yeah. You know. And the road that I'm still taking to this day, the endless nights, although now I'm still probably working as much as I did,
but it's for you.
It's for me.
Big difference.
Yes.
Big difference.
Yeah. The motivation is completely different, and the sense of purpose.
And I can guarantee that the fact that you went away to so many countries, you probably have even more passion now than before. Because now you've seen all of these people, you've seen the places, and I think that's what, like you said, it sparked you into putting this together. So I think, like, if you didn't go, who knows which road you'd have taken, but I think that experience of just going out there and just into the unknown has brought you to where you are today.
It definitely prepared me. I think when it came to not knowing where I was going the next day or how I was going to get there, it prepared me for this entrepreneurial journey, and it prepared me to be okay with the lows, because there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows, and I tend to be an extremely positive person, and I gloss over the darker or sadder moments and just focus on the highs, and that typically attracts everything else. But yeah, it's like just backpacking and traveling, and there are moments I didn't know where I was going, and so it was. But
that's brave. I'm telling you, that's brave.
And there's a lot of freedom to it.
Oh my God.
Mental freedom.
Yes.
To know that. Imagine waking up the next day and going, I don't have to be at work. I don't have doctor's appointments, no commitments, no emails to check, nothing. And I mean, after a few days of going, okay, I'm just gonna kind of be all over the place and not do anything.
Right.
Something inside, or for me anyway, it was like internal, and I'm like, okay, I want to create some plan, and because there's only so many moments where things are unplanned, of course, that I think you want to, and I think that was also perfect for me to understand when you're in an environment where your every minute is dictated, whether you're working 9 to 5 or more, you think of, wow, how awesome would it be when I don't have responsibilities. Right. Then when you don't have the responsibilities, you're like, well, let me create some responsibilities for me. But I think that time away really allowed me to see what I wanted, who I am. And I never looked at it as I was exhausted from work. And so when I was gonna leave, it wasn't so much, okay, well, I'm gonna find my next passion and I'm gonna do this. It was, I wanna take a break. And when I took that break, I realized I found my purpose.
But you know what's incredible? You're young, and it's for you to think like that at this age. You know, many people work 10, 20 years before they even think about anything like what you did. You know, so the fact that you've even thought of that at such a young age, I think that's incredible as well. And that's a good thing, you know. I really think it's a good thing, because I'm 50 years old, and it was only 6 years ago when I decided, I think I want to do this entrepreneurship thing, you know. I mean, I've always in the back of my mind wanted to do something, I just didn't know what. But it was 6 years ago that I said, this is what I want to do. And so, you know, at such a young age, for you to be that brave and courageous to go out on your own to do that, I think that's phenomenal. But I want to talk about, you know, you won so many different awards. Tell us about how you raised $78,000 on Indiegogo and your book. You know, tell us about some of those things.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot going on, and so through this entrepreneurial journey, I was trying to figure out how do I start my company and the traditional channel. So I was looking at, do I apply for a loan? Do I beg and borrow from family and friends about like raising this? And here I am. I just did the trip of a lifetime, and now coming back asking for people for money. So it was kind of one of those like,
I know.
what are you doing? But I think the as we mentioned, like the passion, the purpose really stood out, and I kept hearing a lot of things about crowdfunding.
Yes.
And so I started researching, and actually in May of 2013, a good friend of mine was doing his crowdfunding campaign, and he raised over $500,000.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So with that,
wow.
I was impressed, and I was there in the beginning when
that's impressive. $500,000.
500,000 through I think it was 8,000 people. And you're talking about when people are giving you 25 and
of course from all over the world.
All over the world.
Right.
I mean, I supported him with 25, but that 25 was also part of this 500,000. Yeah,
right. That's incredible.
And so I had that opportunity to see the back end of things, and so I was like, wow, maybe this is a way for me to raise money for my venture.
Right.
And so I started doing the research, and there are two very big crowdfunding platforms that people know of. One is Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And eventually I chose one. I chose Indiegogo, and doing the research, and so with that I was like, I think this is it. I think if we are able to share my passion and purpose in building this portal to help other people live their dream lifestyle, maybe that will resonate not just with me and my close friends, but more people.
Right, of course.
And so in 30 days, we were able to raise $78,501. It's seared into my head and 541 people.
Wow.
And so those 541 people, I mean, I see their names, and I'm reminded that whenever I have those lows, that there are these 541 people, friends, family, strangers who believe in me and in my vision, and so that keeps me going on. But I can tell you with the crowdfunding and those thinking about doing
it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, I did something similar, but it was more of a loan. But it's a lot of work. And I had a young lady that just did it for her dessert company. She got $8,000, but she said, Sharon, it was so much work. So I know you wrote a book about it as well.
Yeah, so it's part of my way to pay it forward. I would get a lot of entrepreneurs ask me how was I able to raise that amount of money through crowdfunding, and so I decided to take all my emails and notes, and I wrote a book. So it is.
And tell us the name of the book.
It's bootstrapping crowdfunding. You bootstrap startup. It's available on Amazon. It's doing quite well, and the feedback that I'm getting from a lot of entrepreneurs is that it's helping them. Right. It's helping them figure out if crowdfunding is the route that they should take for their venture. And I wrote it not in a step-by-step way.
Right. Okay.
I wanted to tell a story. I'm a storyteller, so I was like, let me tell a story because I think
more interesting.
Yeah, and I think when you realize the disagreements, the arguments that me and my partner at the time were working on, I think you get to understand that this is more involved, and the other folks might think that it's okay, it's a set it and forget it. Right. But that's not the case. Right. It really is time intensive. You really want to plan, and at the end of the day, I mean, you were successful, she was successful, and we were, and there are many others. Right. And so it is a really viable option. It is for people to undertake, and anyone interested. I mean, there's a lot of plethora of resources available, reading books, such as the one that I wrote, but also just online, available online that can help them. But really having a support network. Oh yeah, that's important. It was some of the conversations I had with friends and family members were very, very interesting. When you're asking them for, hey, can you support me with $20 or $25?
I know, everything counts. So you also were a top contender for the IBM partnership. What was the name of that one again?
That was the IBM Watson partnership.
Yes.
So
congratulations.
Thank you.
That. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We are out of time.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Great way to end.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us all this wisdom. Until next time. Bye bye.